scorer Olivier Hanlon, Dimitri Batten, and Aaron Brown are experienced graduate students. Patrick Heckman was outstanding yesterday with 19 points. And Dennis Clifford, the 7-footer, has to get stronger in rebounding. Marcus Page, Justin Jackson, the backcourt for North Carolina, with J.P. Tokoto does a little bit of everything. Bryce Johnson and Joel James, the starting front court. They are without Kennedy Meeks, their power forward, who's been under the weather for several days. Here's Allison Williams.
Well, Sean, UNC will be without Kennedy Meeks, as you mentioned. They will also be without Theo Pinson. He missed 10 games this year, but returned for the game against Georgia Tech, played 7 minutes of the final regular season game against Duke. But he has re-injured the foot injury that kept him out for those 10 games. He was a game-time decision coming into this one, came out dressed for warm-ups. But we have received reports that he will not be able to play today for UNC. So once again, the Tar Heels having to try and play through injuries.
Olivier Hanlon, junior from just outside Ottawa. Shane said 25 points yesterday. BC wins the tip from Clifford. North Carolina won the regular season meeting just over a month ago by 11. Hanlon had 30 points in that game, and he has a point. He has a bucket, 2 points off the back cut, a beautiful feed from Patrick Heckman. Roy Williams said Hanlon scored 30 in the regular season. I thought we did a pretty good job defending him. That's how talented he is.
Well, that's the sort of player he is. He's tremendously talented. Had a quiet first half, only had 5 points in the first half, but exploded in the second half for 25. He's a huge, huge key for the Eagles today.
Bryce Johnson turns and faces up, and the rebound off the floor to Clifford. Heckman, senior from Germany. We mentioned yesterday, Coach Jim Christian says when he plays well, they win. And he was the key yesterday in the victory over Georgia Tech. Passed up a three to find Dimitri Batten. Batten for three, and a great start for Boston College. They come in having won 4 in a row on the heels of a 9-game losing streak. Looked like they were on their way to really a very disappointing year, and they've rescued it here late. Johnson missed the turnaround. Clifford the rebound.
Give Coach Jim Christian a lot of credit. At a time when a lot of teams let go of the rope and packed in for the year, his team rallied. They've won 4 in a row. They're feeling good about themselves, and they were here. That's what a win is.
Here comes Marcus Page, third team All-ACC this season. A little bit disappointing given that he was the preseason player of the year in the conference, but he played through plantar fasciitis, very painful foot much of the year. Joel James, starting in place of Kennedy Meeks, fires up an air ball.
The key matchup for this to watch, Sean, is Heckman on Bryce Johnson. Heckman had a great game yesterday. He's really a small forward, forced into the stretch 4 position. Hit a bunch of threes yesterday. He was tired late after banging with the big boys from Georgia Tech all day long. Let's see if he's fatigued today.
Hanlon passed it off to Aaron Brown. They need more from him today. He's their second leading scorer for the year. Just 1 for 7 yesterday for 3 points. Lobbed into Bryce Johnson, and he has the first bucket for North Carolina more than 2.5 minutes in.
Well, priority 1 for Boston College. They must do all they can to keep Carolina out of the paint. Out of the Power 5 conferences, they lead the country in points in the paint. That is their lifeblood. BC wants to win this game. They have to keep them out of the paint.
Clifford out to Brown. He was on the sideline.
Decided height advantage inside for the Tar Heels. Nice over-the-top pass to Bryce Johnson. Even better finish.
Johnson had a double-double in their win at Boston College on February 7th. He had 20 points and 10 rebounds. And Isaiah Hicks, also a front court player, had a career-high 21 points in that game. Jim Christian said most of it was like that shot right there. It wasn't right at the rim. A lot of 12 and 14 footers made by the front court of North Carolina in that game.
Tar Heel fans have come to know good Bryce Johnson and bad Bryce Johnson. when good Bryce Johnson shows up like he did against BC, that really titillates the fan base. Tar Heels.
JP Tokindo scored to make it a 1-point game. Clifford fouled as he attacked. Bryce Johnson thought it was clean. Roy thought so too. Tim Nestor, Sean Hull, and Tim Kelly are the officials. First foul on Bryce Johnson.
Great drive by Olivier Hanlon and finding the dish. Dennis Clifford, not known for physical play, takes the contact to Bryce Johnson. Nice job drawing a foul.
Clifford gets the bounce on the first.
Clifford really got pushed around yesterday by the size and the meat of Georgia Tech. Without Kennedy Meeks, Carolina's not as big, but they need a more physical effort from Dennis Clifford on the boards if they want to survive this game.
That is the issue, as you said. Carolina leading all major conference teams, points in the paint. BC gave up those 38 points yesterday to a Georgia Tech team that was without a leading score. Johnson a little woofing after he slams home the dunk.
A little life for Bryce Johnson. I like it.
Just about a capacity crowd on hand here. Biggest crowd of the tournament so far in game 4. Garland Owens off the Boston College bench. Hanlon, and they wave off the goal. Clifford called for basket interference at the offensive end. Jim Christian isn't sure about it. First timeout. 1-point lead for BC. 7 of them here in Greensboro. 58 tournament wins, the most all time in the ACC tournament for the late great Dean Smith. Of course, one of his most memorable defeats was against this Boston College team. Marcus Page knocks home a 3 to give Carolina the lead for the first time today. Might have been the biggest win in Boston College basketball history in the NCAA tournament. Second round, 1994. Landover, Maryland. Carolina was #1 in the country, and BC knocked them off 75-72 on the Eagles' way to the Elite Eight. Aaron Brown, a strong drive, and he'll earn a trip to the free throw line. Foul is on Isaiah Hicks, who has come off the bench for Roy Williams.
Is that Billy Curley's team?
Yeah, Billy Curley was the star of that BC team. It was
Howard
a great
Isley?
BC team.
That
Lost to Florida.
That was a very good team.
In the Elite Eight. Beat Indiana in the Sweet 16 down in Miami. Brown misses the first free throw. Jim Christian acknowledged they needed more than they got from him yesterday. Coach Christian said he was talking to his 8-year-old son Zach this morning. Said, "Who needs to play well for us to beat North Carolina today?" Zach said, "Everybody." Zach's well aware it is a very talented North Carolina team they're facing today.
Future coach. Future coach.
Tokindo has it pop out. Tokindo's from Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, where he broke the scoring records of Brad Christensen, who went on to star at Boston College. Patrick Heckman for 3. Boston College ahead by 2. More than 5 minutes gone by.
And that's Heckman's strength. He really stretches the floor. He gives Olivier Hanlon space to operate with shooters on the perimeter.
Page, little pirouette. BC thought it was a travel. Hicks has it pop out. We noted his 21 points last month at Boston College, the career high. That ended up an 11-point game. Carolina won 79-68. But it was a tie game at 36 at the half, and it was a 5-point game with 2.5 minutes to go. Basically nip and tuck throughout. Carolina foul is on Hicks. That's 2 quickies for Isaiah off the bench. And Roy's going to give him the hook. Go to Jackson Simmons, the senior.
Without Kennedy Meeks, Carolina's a little bit different on the interior. Kennedy Meeks does a great job of drawing fouls and really their power player on the inside. So even though they're still an elite rebounding team, they don't have that force that they have when Kennedy Meeks plays.
Hanlon's 3 way off. Carolina ball down by 2, 6 minutes played. Carolina 21-10 on the year, 11-7 in the ACC. Joel James, the nice turnaround, junior from West Palm Beach, Florida, from a big family, the 8th of 11 children. He didn't start playing until he was a sophomore in high school, and at his size, basketball's a likely choice. 6'10", 280.
Better late than never.
That size, he can play whatever sport he wants. No one's going to argue. He's trying to track it down in a battle with Dimitri Batten. Arrow goes to Carolina. Joel Berry dove in, tie it up.
Joel James doing a nice job of getting deep post position. Dennis Clifford, a little too light to defend that shot. Nice touch by Joel James. We were talking with Coach Hamilton yesterday. The rules are such in college basketball where you really can't be physical as a defender in the post. The best you can do is belly up to somebody, and that gives the advantage to the offensive player.
But again, an example of the poor rebounding by Boston College. Page came flying in to get an offensive rebound, and Jackson Simmons scored. Hanlon another miss. Jackson ahead for Berry, guarded by Heckman, who fouled him.
BC has to realize that Carolina plays at one of the fastest paces in the country. So every long shot taken by BC is an opportunity for Carolina to secure the rebound to get out. So that it's imperative that Boston College has perfect floor balance and getting back on defense the entire game.
Berry missed the first free throw. Heckman's foul is first. Berry's a freshman from Apopka, Florida. Backup guard. BC was out rebounded yesterday, 43-26. Another example of it. Simmons kept it alive. BC was lucky to get it back. Brown, Heckman wide open for three, and it pops out to the freshman Justin Jackson, member of the five-man all-freshman team in the ACC this year. Pass to Berry, for James, too high and out of bounds. To Boston College, as is often the case, Roy Williams substituting liberally. He sends Nate Britt back in. Sophomore backup point guard. He's had a nice year for them. Shooting 38% from three. 86 plus from the line. He picks up Hanlon. Officials told Britt to get his hands off Hanlon. Olivier just 1 for 5 so far. Brown, wow, maybe that'll get him going. Very lucky, fired a rock that managed to drop through to give BC the lead.
You don't draw him up like that, but you'll take it.
Britt's wide open, and that's a mistake. Hanlon got there too late.
Carolina not known for being a high volume three-point shooting team. Really the only two threats on the floor, Marcus Page and Nate Britt. But both those guys shoot at a high percentage.
Heckman, nice offense set up by Hanlon. Tied at 16, another entertaining start. Yesterday, the two games both decided by 1 point. The first game today, a three-point Florida State win. Page a miss. Hanlon comes down to help rebound. And that was one of Jim Christian's messages. Everybody has to help on the glass against North Carolina, a team that is plus 8.4 per game on the glass.
When you're playing an elite offensive rebounding team, there has to be 5 guys in the paint every time a shot goes up.
Simmons, who doesn't play a lot, is giving them some nice minutes off the bench. The foul difficulty to Hicks and the absence of Meeks. Timeout, tied at 16. Danny Abrams, now the radio analyst for Boston College, working alongside John Meter-Perrell. Matter of fact, Derek Montross was in that game, and he's the analyst for North Carolina on their radio today. Justin Jackson fouled, and there's Montross. Dean Smith complained after the game that Danny Abrams might have been a little too physical.
Really?
Which the BC people just laughed off. Danny, one of the all-time great guys ever to play college basketball. Recently lost his teenage daughter in a horrible tragedy after a lengthy battle with cancer, and certainly our sympathies continue to go to he and his family. Jackson, the free throw shooter. No Kennedy Meeks today. I'm surprised he's on the bench, Shane, given that talking with Roy Williams between games, he was still very sick this morning. They were going to run some more tests. They've checked him for mono, for strep throat. They don't think he has the flu, but they're not sure of the reason why his temperature's been so high, over 100 for a few days. Remains to be seen if he would play tomorrow should they advance. Clifford, tough pass. Hanlon trying to run a back cut. They're lucky to get away with it. There were two defenders right there for Carolina. Jackson and Tokido out of bounds to BC with 16 to shoot. Out of bounds. Batten couldn't save the inbound pass. By the way, that North Carolina team the BC beat in '94, their starting lineup was Eric Montross, Jerry Stackhouse, Jeff McGinnis, Rasheed Wallace, and Kevin Salvadori.
Pretty good.
That's a pretty good team they knocked off.
That's a pretty good stick right there. I remember that team. They were dominant, trendy pick for the Final Four that year.
The favorite to win the national championship that year. Britt fired up an air ball out of bounds to Boston College. The winner of this one advances to play the number 4 seed Louisville, which snatched the double bye on the last game of the regular season. They upset Virginia, a mild upset at home in the Yum Center, their final game of the regular season. And North Carolina lost to Duke. Get swept by Duke in the regular season. So Louisville finished at 12-6, North Carolina at 11-7. 4 and 5 respectively in the final ACC regular season standing. Midway through the first half, Eddie Odio off the bench for Boston College. Clifford guarded by James. Doubled for a moment. Clifford. Shot clock still at 15. Brown off to Odio. And the rebound to Nate Britt, just 6'1". Bryce Johnson fouled, and a chance for a three-point play.
Well, the game plan should be absolutely clear for Carolina. So far, they are 5 for 6 with their paint shots, only 3 of 11 from outside the paint. They have a decided advantage there and have done a nice job of taking advantage in the early action.
Dimitri Batten called for his first foul. Bryce Johnson has 7 points. He's their second leading scorer on the year at 12.5 per game, and this is the largest lead for UNC.
This is a great one-on-one matchup right now. JP Tokido on Olivier Hanlon. Tokido, one of the premier defenders in the ACC.
BC turns it over again. Tokido got a hand on his own miss and runs it down in the corner. And a little bump by Clifford. If they're going to call that sort of thing all day long, we'll be here a while. The ESPN bracketology special. Everything you need to know about the field of 68. Can anyone stop Kentucky? That's among the many topics to be discussed. Sunday night at 7, presented by Staples with live SportsCenter updates at 5:30. By the way, speaking of SportsCenter, after this game, live from the Pacquiao-Mayweather press conference in Los Angeles.
Who you got in that fight?
People have been waiting for that fight for as long as we've been alive. Oh. Finally going to happen. We'll hear some commentary. Justin Jackson delivers a blow for North Carolina. Timeout, BC. 7 straight points for North Carolina. For the Eagles star, Olivier Hanlon, just 1 out of 6 from the floor.
We saw this yesterday, but he needs to find a way to shake loose and get some clean looks. Carolina's doing a nice job of defending him.
Just did keep it in bounds in the corner. Some shaky possessions lately for Boston College. Eagles are 13-18 for the year, riding a 4-game winning streak. Hanlon's pass blocked. A shot was blocked by Tokido. Jackson Johnson, a little too hot to handle. Hit Joel James in the chest. Johnson was right up on Heckman on the catch. Brown takes a bump. And when Joel James hits, you haven't been hit. His first foul. 4 team fouls on North Carolina.
BC not known as a foul drawing team, more of a jump shooting team. Well, they don't shoot a great percentage from behind the arc. In a game like this, if you want to pull the upset off a team with more talent, you need to find a way to get to the free throw line. And you have to find a way to get some extra points from behind the arc.
Brown made the first free throw. Graduate student. Hanlon out for a brief rest. Jim Christian did this yesterday with the media timeout coming under 8 minutes. A few extra seconds of rest for Hanlon.
And BC actually played pretty well when Hanlon went out. They went on a little run. Let's see if they can repeat that again tonight.
Well, Brown has 6, twice as many as he had yesterday. 8 minutes to go in the half. North Carolina by 5. Hicks. Contact with Batten. No call either way. And I believe they have Heckman for a foul on the follow-up activity. That is 3 fouls on Heckman, and that is a disaster for Boston College. They can't play for a long time without him. 7:50 to go in the opening half in Greensboro. Carolina by 5.
Introducing the Red Hook Beer Battered Codfish Sandwich, only at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
We're back in Greensboro. Sean McDonough, Shane Battier, and Allison Williams. 5-point lead for Roy Williams and the Tar Heels as they play it in. Big development. Patrick Heckman of Boston College has just gone to the bench with his 3rd foul. He is a key player for BC.
That's a huge foul. Now they're forced to play a little more conventional, not as much spacing as with Heckman on the floor at the 4.
Okino inside. Hicks just backing in on John Kane Carney, who's come off the bench for Boston College. Hicks missed the short shot. Hanlon scored 14 seconds into the game, the first bucket of the game, and is scoreless since. As you said, we saw yesterday, he can get it going in a hurry, as he did in the second half against Georgia Tech. Yesterday, he had 2 points in the first 13 minutes and finished with 25. Eddie Odio sets the screen for him. A lot of ball screens, a lot of handoffs. This Jim Christian offense. Odio looked like he had a pretty wide open shot. Brown scores in traffic. Bryce Johnson running the floor. He's a terrific athlete. Caught it in stride.
There's no reason for that sort of basket for Boston College. Excellent job by Bryce Johnson. Just the hustle play, beating them down. If there's a shot at the rim, there should not be a run out on the other end.
Roy Williams gone deep into his bench for Stillman White, who's trying to guard Brown down low. And he got called for the foul. Let's check in with Allison.
Well, the message for Boston College right now offensively is just to settle down. UNC's pressure is really bothering them, and it's forcing them to initiate their offense so far out that they're not able to get into a rhythm.
That's an excellent point, Allison. To run good, efficient offense, you should initiate the offense at the hash mark or below. Defenses, when they pressure you and extend you, it takes away your offensive spacing, your passes are longer, your timing is off. The best offensive teams initiate the ball, get the ball below the free throw line, and flatten out the defense.
Well, with Heckman on the bench, Brown a couple of free throws to get Boston College back within 3. Brown has 10 points today. He and Hanlon the only 2 who average in double figures for the year. Brown 14.5. Hicks trying to drive on Odio. And a foul called. Fouls on Odio, his second. New York Life ACC tournament. 2 more games tonight on ESPN2. Starting with NC State and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh limping into Greensboro, losers of 3 in a row. Played their way off the bubble. They probably have to win this tournament now to get into the NCAA. Of course, this tournament a big part of championship week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Hicks made the first free throw.
I don't know about you. I was impressed with Virginia Tech yesterday. They showed a lot of spunk, a lot of shot-making ability. The freshman Jalen Hudson showed us all something. Without Angel Rodriguez from Miami, Virginia Tech gives them a game tonight.
Hicks made 1 out of 2. Olivier Hanlon, first team all ACC, and in the ACC they only choose 5. There's some leagues they put everybody on the team and kind of waters down the meaning of it. Not so in this conference. Brown, an air ball from the corner. Hanlon's 1 out of 8 from the floor, and yet they're within 4. Berry leaned into Kane Carney. John Kane Carney will be called for the foul, and Joel Berry has a chance for a 3-point play.
Excellent drive by Joel Berry. The Carolina Tar Heels live in the paint. In semi-transition, do a great job of attacking the 10, taking the contact, and finishing.
Matches the largest lead now for North Carolina. Hanlon, they swarmed him. Batten drives home a 3.
See, that shows a lot of maturity by Olivier Hanlon. He's struggling. He doesn't have it going offensively, but he's still continuing to make the proper basketball play. And that play right there, the kick to the Batten, was the right play.
Johnson a miss. Clifford the rebound. This is the first year for Hanlon as the point guard, as a junior. And Jim Christian said at the beginning of the year he was learning the balance between when to get his own offense, when to involve other people. And Roy Williams was marveling about the fact that Hanlon makes such great decisions. He's a big scorer. A lot of times guys who score a lot take a lot of shots. He does it without taking a million shots. Clifford. Rebound Tokido.
That's why someone will pay him a lot of money in the near future to be on the basketball team.
Page has room for 3 and did not get the soft bounce. Hicks powers one up and he's fouled. Well, the key moment of this game is the 3rd foul on Patrick Heckman, and it came at the end of a sequence that was interesting. There had to be something there, either a blocking foul or a charge, but they didn't blow the whistle on that. Batten got knocked to the deck, and then a kind of a ticky-tack foul on Heckman that never should have happened. He didn't think he fouled anyway, but the whistle should have blown before that point.
Well, those are the sort of plays that drive coaches crazy. You let the absolute mugging go on, and then you call the ticky-tack. And so coaches don't know how the game is being called. Players don't know how the game is being called. But that was no question a pivotal foul, putting Heckman on the bench, forcing Coach Christian to make some lineup shuffles.
Clifford just called for his 2nd foul, the 7-footer. People wobbling all along the lane, no violations. A couple of free throws for Hicks, the sophomore from Oxford, North Carolina. Jim Christian's in his first year at Boston College. Took over for Steve Donahue. Jim is the winningest coach in the history of the Mid-American Conference by percentage. Spent 6 years at Kent State. The last 2 years at Ohio U. Won 70% of his games in 8 years in the MAC. Won at least 20 every year. Nice move by Hanlon. He has some explosiveness when he goes on the drive to the bucket.
Tough drive, but he's working for every single look that he's getting tonight. Credit the Carolina defense.
Berry working on Clifford, who has to be careful with the 2 fouls. Good move by Joel James. And he scored on the second try. James usually only plays 9.5 minutes per game. He'll see more than that in all likelihood today with the illness of Kennedy Meeks. More the same for Boston College, giving up those second chance points. They survived it yesterday against Georgia Tech. 10 to shoot, 3.5 minutes in the half. Hanlon, Brown, 5 to shoot. Brown found a seam and gets fouled. Went right after the big fella, Joel James, and got the call. Foul on James, his second. Media timeout.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Sport begs of you this one simple question: who will you be? And
tonight, Pitt and NC State. Joe Lunardi has NC State comfortably in the field, the NCAA tournament. Virginia Tech and Miami tonight at 9, and Joe thinks Miami has work to do, perhaps a chance to beat the Hokies, the last place team in the regular season. And they showed yesterday they are capable. They knocked off Wake Forest. And it's hard to figure out Miami. They had some terrific wins, and they had some losses that are almost impossible to explain.
Yeah, their resume is middling, as is most teams that find themselves on the bubble. You wonder why they couldn't put together more consistent play against some of the bad losses that they suffered.
Aaron Brown made one free throw for Boston College. The lead is 5 for North Carolina. The largest margin was 7 on a couple of occasions.
The good news for Boston College is that Carolina is 4 for 15 from outside the paint. The bad news, 8 for 12 from in the paint.
Page for 3. What a half he's having. 6 points, 4 rebounds at 6 feet 1 inch. 4 assists and no turnovers for Page. And that 3 ball has given North Carolina its largest lead. Page was honored before the game with the Skip Prosser Award to the Student Athlete of the Year in the ACC. Tokido the rebound. Wow! Beautiful pass right on target to Justin Jackson. And he was fouled.
Great vision by J.P. Tokido. Again, very poor floor balance from a corner three-point shot for Boston College. Justin Jackson running, getting behind the defense. Perfect delivery by J.P. Tokido and a sweet finish by Justin Jackson.
Tokido has 131 assists this season. Just barely second on the team behind Page. A 6'6" player who can pass like that. It's a great weapon.
Well, he's been their best playmaker all year. If you ask Coach Williams, he loves his playmaking ability, wishes he would cut down on the turnovers just a tad, which has been his position.
He reached in to strip Aaron Brown. Tokido has 73 turnovers on the year, which leads their team as well. Digging down toward 2 minutes to go in the first half with Patrick Heckman on the BC bench. North Carolina widening its lead. Page hits a little floater, and Jim Christian wants a timeout.
These are basketballs. Both are
The best player in the world for the last month or so, and the Thunder battling for a playoff spot in the West. That's at 8, and then the MVP candidate James Harden takes on the Blazers at 10:30. Rockets and Blazers. Second half, a terrific doubleheader of NBA action tonight on ESPN.
Last few possessions, Boston College has seemed a little bit tired. Let's see if fatigue is the reason for that.
Garland Owens has it pop out. Heckman's been on the bench for 6 minutes. North Carolina is +8 since he went to the bench. That was a very big third foul call. Clifford trying to avoid his third as he guards Bryce Johnson along with the turnaround. Only 4 points for Olivier Hanlon. He takes a bump before the shot, says Tim Nestor. He was chest to chest was Hanlon with Joel Berry. First foul on Berry. Heckman will likely be on the bench for the rest of the half. That puts North Carolina over the limit. Hanlon will shoot 2. He's 76.3 from the line for the year. He's a junior, but he is going to think about the NBA when the season is over. So he'll talk with his family, with Coach Christian. Jim Christian has said if the NBA feedback is that Olivier would be a first-round pick, he would encourage him to leave. Communications major on target to graduate in a year. And he said if he leaves, he is going to come back. Reggie Jackson has come back after he left BC early, went to the NBA. Luke Kuechly has come back, great NFL star for Carolina. He's come back to work on finishing his degree. And Boston College, a tremendous academic institution. Hanlon wants to make sure he gets that degree.
Well, that's great. A lot of people think that players only think about basketball. It's great to hear young people still valuing the value of a college education.
Dimitri Batten called for the foul, his second. J.P. Tokido at the line. 61% for the year.
Well, Carolina has played the second toughest schedule in the country. You know, most people, if you just look at their record, haven't watched them, said, oh, Carolina's had sort of a down year. They've dropped 7 games in conference, but their metrics are actually paint them in a much more positive light. And this is the team that's projected as a 4 or 5 seed right now. It's not a team that a lot of teams want to face in the NCAA tournament.
Well, they
have great size, and when Page and Britt are knocking down shots, they're pretty complete.
A lot of three-point weapons, but those two you mentioned are certainly capable. Hanlon, strong drive, then missed with the left. Johnson the rebound. The shot clock is off, and Tokido wisely puts the brakes on. Carolina will hold for the last shot of the half. Olivier Hanlon now 2 for 10. With 2 seconds to go, Page, no, with a long 3, and it's halftime. BC gave up 6 offensive rebounds to Carolina. For the half, they were out-rebounded 20-13. 13-point lead for the Tar Heels at the break. Now the Heroes charge.
Been poor. There's been a corner 3-point shot. You don't go for the offensive rebound, you get back. Carolina does a great job. Justin Jackson sprinting ahead, beating the transition defense, and that's why Carolina has a first half lead.
Here's Allison Williams.
Well, North Carolina did a good job against Olivier Hanlon. They held him 2 for 10 from the floor for 6 points in that first half, but Roy Williams wasn't completely satisfied. He said a player like Hanlon will have a bad first half, but then will usually come out and have a good second half. So he remains a concern for them. The main thing for UNC is they have to make sure they keep Hanlon out of the paint. They know he missed some shots in the first half he usually makes.
He had 5 points at the half yesterday, finished with 25 against Georgia Tech. Boston College ball to begin the second half. And the corner shot wouldn't go for Hanlon. Jim Christian has Patrick Heckman on the bench, still with the 3 fouls to begin the second half, and Eddie Odio begins the second half in his spot at the 4 position. Justin Jackson, J.P. Tokido. Inside they go to Bryce Johnson. He dumps it underneath. Joel James, nice shot. Tough angle, almost fading behind the backboard. And he managed to knock it home to give Carolina its largest lead.
Well, tough shot, but it goes back to what we talked about yesterday when BC played Georgia Tech. They have to compete on the boards and put someone on Carolina on the floor with a tough box out every now and then.
Hanlon, strong drive, and he was fouled. Tokido called for the foul, his first.
We have Carolina just playing big boy ball down there, the interior passing.
Wow.
Joel James, biggest guy on the court. Can't block a shot.
That was a very tough angle, but very little room to spare along the edge of that backboard as he spun to the baseline.
When you're struggling from the floor like Hanlon is, 2 for 11, the best way to create rhythm is to try to get to the foul line. He does a great job with his ball screens. Put more pressure on the Carolina defense, get to that free throw line, get some rhythm.
Justin Jackson a little short with the floater. Dennis Clifford the rebound. Boston College looks to run. Aaron Brown had it flicked away by Marcus Page. Jim Christian, a Long Island native from Bethpage, New York. Played for Ralph Willard in high school. St. Dominic. There's Ralph, went on to have success at Western Kentucky, coached Pittsburgh, Holy Cross. Jim was around some great coaches. He was recruited to Boston University by Rick Pitino. Wow. Rick left before he got there to be an assistant with the Knicks, but he played for John Kuester at BU, transferred to URI, and Jim Christian played for Brendan Malone and Tom Penders there. So he learned a lot from the people he's been around.
Some great coaches.
Terrific guy. Just turned 50 years old and mentioned the success at Kent State. And at Ohio U. Losing record in the 4 years at TCU. I think most would acknowledge that as a tough job. As is Boston College. It is a major rebuilding job to do. He inherited a veteran team. They're going to lose Batten, Brown, Heckman, Odio, John Kane Carney, Alex Dragovich, who transferred in from Notre Dame, and perhaps Olivier Hanlon will leave a year early. So he inherited a veteran bunch. He's going to have to totally rebuild after this year. Boston College on the run. Brown with the throw down. Eddie Odio gives great effort when he comes in there. Very good athlete. Page dumps it off, and the dunk by Bryce Johnson right in the face of Dennis Clifford.
Well, Carolina doing a great job again, attacking the painted area. BC wants to fall back into this. They need to keep the ball from touching the paint.
Odio, senior from Miami, son of a coach. His dad, Caesar, the longtime coach at Barry University in Miami. Tough break for Clifford as it popped out. Page stripped on the drive. Brown trying to race ahead of Jackson. Aaron Brown makes it a 9-point game.
One of the best ways to attack a team that wants to push it on offense is push at them right back on their defensive end. Teams that fast break don't like to be fast breaked against.
Good job by Brown after the down game yesterday. He's bounced back with 15 points today. Double figures for the 28th time in 32 BC games this season. A three for Justin Jackson. Freshman from Tomball, Texas.
Justin Jackson has a great stroke. When you look at his numbers, it doesn't add up. He's only shooting about 25% from behind the arc. I think he's going to be a knockdown shooter by the time he leaves Carolina.
He was co-MVP of the McDonald's All-American game last year with Jahlil Okafor. Jackson was homeschooled in the Houston area, played prep basketball at the Homewood Christian Youth Program in the Houston area. And a highly rated player, number 8 overall by ESPNU, as we mentioned, a McDonald's All-American. International experience.
He was the one guy you always saw after practice working on his shot. So he's a worker, he's a gym rat. He's going to make himself into a shooter.
Shot clock running out. Hanlon gets it off in time. It bounced off to Bryce Johnson.
I'm impressed by Carolina and their hedging on the pick and rolls. They're making Hanlon work every pick and roll that comes off. No free looks for him.
Hanlon is 2 for 12 from the floor. He shoots 46% from the floor for the year. Clifford can make that. Not that time. He's 3 for 5 for the season entering the game from beyond the arc. Made one yesterday, so now 50%. Page is open for 3. Long and rebounded by Clifford. Hanlon attacks Berry. Too strong off the glass. He's getting some good looks. I think you're right about the fatigue. He plays a lot of minutes. And they played yesterday, and North Carolina did not. Johnson. Short with the shot.
When you have a mismatch like that, he had a tired Olivia Hanlon on him. That's when your coach wants you to put that guard in the rim. If you run him over, you run him over. You want to use your size, not to shoot over the guy, but get into the paint, get deep, and then put it in the hoop.
Saw Hanlon walk the ball up with the dribble, trying to catch his breath. There will be a media timeout on the next whistle. I wonder how much longer Jim Christian will wait to put Heckman back in the game. Clifford, well set up by Dimitri Batten.
Played by Batten, getting deep, drawing and dishing.
Hicks all alone, defensive breakdown. Joel Berry, the nice pass to Isaiah Hicks.
This BC team is tired. You see them walking up the court, 14 to go in the second half. They're going to need to summon some courage and some fortitude here to make a run.
Jim Christian isn't going to wait for the media timeout. It would have been on the next whistle, but he sees what everybody in the building can see. His team is very tired. And Heckman has gone to the scorers table to check in.
Carolina playing above the rim, using their length and athleticism to their advantage. Nice look, nice connection. Isaiah Hooks. Roy's.
Roy Williams and the North Carolina Tar Heels leading the second round New York Life ACC tournament game. 52-40. Patrick Heckman returns. Picked up his third foul. About 7 minutes to go in the first half. So deficit went from 5 to 13 for BC. He makes an immediate impact. Scores. Was fouled by Jackson Simmons, and Heckman will have a chance to finish the three-point play after the media timeout. Time for today's game-changing moment, brought to you by Degree Dry Sprays. And it is that foul on Patrick Heckman after the big contact between Isaiah Hicks and Dimitri Batten went uncalled. It's even clear if Heckman made contact, but he got called for his third foul. He went to the bench for the rest of the first half. BC was down by 5 at the time. Was down by 13 at the break. Heckman came in and in 2 seconds scored a basket, got fouled. Has a chance to finish the three-point play now. Nine-point lead for North Carolina in search of its 22nd win of the year. Sean McDonough, Shane Battier, Allison Williams. Our producer is Eric Mosley. Our director, Jeff Evers. Our terrific crew. Enjoying bringing you the sights and sounds as one of the staples of championship week. The ACC tournament. Nate Britt. It's one of the, to me, most interesting stories, Shane, of this year. Last year, Nate Britt shot everything left-handed. This year, he switched to shooting jump shots, layups right-handed, and shooting free throws left-handed. He's a much improved shooter. Isaiah Hicks, a block on Heckman. Then a foul in the follow-up action on Olivier Hanlon.
That's a monstrous block. Heckman thinks he has an easy two. Not against North Carolina. Great recovery speed by Isaiah Hicks. Never giving up on the play.
Seventh foul on Hanlon is first.
That is an amazing story about Britt. You have to be a serious athlete to change hands in your craft. And give the young man a lot of credit for working hard on coming back and really redefining his game.
Traveling the call on Berry. Roy Williams told us there's video of Britt when he was a youngster shooting back home, and he'd shoot the ball from the left side of the basket left-handed. He'd shoot the ball from the right side of the basket right-handed. So he grew up ambidextrous, but settled on left-handed for everything last year. Sometimes still, when you watch him rise up for the jump shot, the ball's straight over his head, and you almost can't tell which hand he's going to shoot it with based on his hand position on the ball.
Well, after a lifetime of shooting like that, I would get to choose. I don't know about you.
Hand check. Joel Berry called for his second foul. He made perhaps the most dramatic shot in the history of the NCAA basketball tournament, the only player to start in 4 Final Fours, so the question lingers, why has Christian Laettner been disliked for so long? ESPN film, I Hate Christian Laettner, Sunday at 9. It'll be right after Bracketology on ESPN, presented by Volkswagen TDI. Hanlon. Brown open for 3. Aaron Brown. In his first and only season at Boston College, he has 18 points today. He spent 2 years at Temple, played in 2 NCAA tournaments there, then transferred to Southern Miss, played 1 season there last year, graduated, had a year of eligibility left, so he took advantage of that rule, and came to BC. And Jim Christian told him, Shane, you're not just going to come take a lot of shots, try to put up stats so you can get a professional job somewhere, maybe overseas. I'm setting the tone for my program in this first year. I need you to come here and be a veteran leader, and Aaron Brown has done that for him.
He's bought in, and give him credit. It's his last year, his last chance to show what he can do at the pro level. I think he's shown that he can be a valuable player, and he has a career beyond this year. So he only did that by buying in.
Good hands by Brown to poke it away from Bryce Johnson. And a timeout. Jim Christian likes the effort. His team, a big underdog, hanging in there with the Tar Heels.
What beer should we get?
2 more games tonight. NC State and Pittsburgh to be followed by Miami and Virginia Tech. And the championship game moves to primetime Saturday night. Lob off the inbounds, a couple of chances, but James couldn't get the second one to go. BC has outscored Carolina 6-2 since Heckman came back in. They were -8 after he went out in the first half, and right when we started to say something nice about him, he anticipated a back cut that did not happen.
The old McDonough whammy. Works every time.
It's happened many, many times. It'll happen with Dan Schulman tonight, I'm sure, a few times, along with Jay Billis on our coverage. Foul on the pass-off. I don't know if Allison's going to full forward tonight. I know she is over the weekend. This might just be a 2-gamer for Allison today.
I'm with you guys. I'm a team player, so
All
if you're
right.
out of here, I'm out of here.
You can buy dinner then.
I'll tell you what, though, guys, BC's not going to quit anytime soon. I just talked to Scott Spinelli, their assistant coach, during the last timeout, and he said what's going on right now typifies their season. They are a resilient team, and they're showing a lot of toughness. You guys mentioned fatigue earlier with Olivier Hanlon. He did say that, yes, the UNC pressure is wearing him down, but they're proud of him right now, the way he's gutting it out there. And I saw him during the timeout. Guys asked if he was okay. He had a smile and said, yeah, I'm good.
Justin Jackson a miss. Bryce Johnson right over the top of Clifford, missed the putback. So a couple of possessions in a row. North Carolina's missed some bunnies, and it's still an 8-point game as we approach the midpoint of the second half.
Right now, Boston College is 5 for 22 on jump shots this game, including 4 for 15 on wide open shots. They make a few of these, they got a shot.
Well, they've had a couple of empty trips here. Heckman, the turnover the previous possession, missed a 3 this time down. Jackson swung it to Berry, the freshman there. Page bounces to Bryce Johnson, a little too fancy. Look away pass. Well, Allison referenced Scott Spinelli, and he is a big part of this staff. DC was very excited when they were able to bring him back home to his native Massachusetts from Maryland. Longtime assistant to Mark Turgeon, who recruited a lot of that talent at Maryland. And he's very actively involved in the advanced scouting, the game plan preparation, in addition to the recruiting. And there's a guy who's going to be a head coach very soon. His name has been mentioned several times in the vacancy at Holy Cross. And, well, that makes too much sense. It probably won't happen because it makes so much sense.
You're his agent?
I am not. From Leominster, Mass, which is not very far away from Worcester and that beautiful campus at Holy Cross. Job one's recruiting. He can recruit. He can get players there. Clifford called for the foul, his third.
Carolina doing what they do best, getting out on the break, attacking the paint. On a foul, getting to the free throw line.
And while we're speaking on behalf of coaches, it's also been rumored the last few days that the former BC coach Steve Donahue is a contender at Penn, where he spent a decade as an assistant to the great Fran Dunphy and then went to Cornell and had success there. It didn't go as well for him at BC, but that's another one of those things that seems to make so much sense it might not happen.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for a better person either to run your program than Steve Donahue. It was very hard for BC to cut ties with him because he was so well-liked personally. It made it a much harder decision for Brad Bates and the administration of Boston College.
No question. Always nice when good people find a spot where they can do even more good.
Steve Donahue's done a nice job on some ESPN games this year. Bryce Johnson, nicely done from about 10 feet. The lead back up to 12. The Carolina margin was 13 at the break. 13 and 8 for Bryce Johnson. He's 2 rebounds away from his second double-double in as many games against the Eagles this season. Johnson recognized third team all ACC this season by both the coaches and the media. Berry grabbed a hold of Hanlon. Still had enough in the tank to try to blow by the freshman Berry. 3 fouls on Berry. But that pass by Page split the wickets.
Great pocket pass by Marcus Page coming up the pick and roll. That is how you run a pick and roll and hit your big guy rolling perfectly.
Batten, he's another one of those one-year graduate students. Played 3 years at Old Dominion, got his degree, and came to BC. He's been a big contributor. Jackson, little hesitation move. It spun off, but Tokido's there to tip it in. And a timeout called by Jim Christian. His team not as deep as Carolina. They're playing for the second day in a row. North Carolina's fresh. 17 bench points for North Carolina. BC doesn't have a single point from its bench.
Well, there's a reason why Carolina is a top 10 offensive rebounding team. They have multiple players, not just their big guys who crash the glass. Right there you see J.P. Tokido, one of the better wing offensive rebounders in the country, with a putback and 2 points. When you play Carolina, you have to have a concerted effort every single time a shot goes up to get a body on a man, and keep them off the glass.
.818 to go. North Carolina with a 14-point lead. They've had great success here in the Gate City, Greensboro, North Carolina. 118 and 32 all time in the city of Greensboro. Really a home court advantage, very close to the campus in Chapel Hill. I'm told it's less than an hour drive.
The foul has been charged to North Carolina, and number 0, Dave Swift.
And when the Tar Heels play in the championship, this place gets rocking. I know Coach Williams had some comments for the home crowd in the Dean E. Smith Center, but when they come to Greensboro, when they play in the championship, like we faced them my freshman year in 1998, this place is rocking.
He said he'd like the crowd to be a little more involved. They do have the reputation in Chapel Hill for not being as noisy as some others, but we had a couple games there this year. I thought the crowds were about as loud as any we've heard. They've had some wild home games this year, including one against Louisville, and if they win, they're going to get another shot at Louisville. They had 2 great games with Louisville during the regular season. Winning one time. Page a miss, out of bounds. They say Clifford's last to touch. Olivier Hanlon questioning Tim Kelly. Johnson was the last to touch it, but apparently the ball was already out of bounds by the time he did. 7:28 to go.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life and the new Taco Bell app. Millions of combinations. What will you make?
At North Carolina. Good to see Ralph here. His son played yesterday. Robert Sampson on that losing Georgia Tech team. Actually had a very nice game in defeat for the Yellow Jackets.
And a big 3 late. Almost won it for him.
Heckman, good defense. Poked it away from Bryce Johnson. Now it's back. Blocked by Tokido. Whoa, did he get off the ground like a pogo stick. His third block. Wow, Page behind the back. Roy Williams will battle vertigo again after that one, and there's a goaltend. Counts the bucket for Olivier Hanlon. Boy, does he have some springs in those legs. He got up, straight up.
Man, great timing. Great extension. I call this the LeBron block. Coming from nowhere. JP Tokido showing why he's one of the best defenders in the country.
Hanlon 12 points now. Nifty floater by Nate Britt from the middle of the lane. Another one of those players out of Oak Hill Academy in Virginia. He was MVP of a team there that won a national championship. Hanlon couldn't get the 3 to go. He thought he was bumped, turned and said something to Tim Nestor on the way back up the court. Bryce Johnson, Patrick Heckman looking around at his teammates with a look of, how did that happen? Whose job was that to stop Johnson?
You have to have 5 players in concert on defense when you're playing an offensive machine like North Carolina. They exploit every miscommunication.
Big problem again today for Boston College, the rebounding. 37-21, their disadvantage, and a lot of activity inside for North Carolina.
Yeah. Page does a nice job going to his left hand, using the pick and roll, stringing the defense along, finding his big man rolling the last second. Well done.
Johnson, son of the coach, played for his dad Herman in South Carolina. Hanlon run into the 1-and-1, popped out to Tokido. Digging down to 6 minutes to go. The winner advances to tomorrow's quarterfinals to play Louisville. Page rattles one home. 15-point lead and matches the largest of the game for North Carolina. 6-0 run for the Heels. Hanlon fouled on a slap by Tokido. 2 fouls on Tokido. Coming up next, as we mentioned, Sports Center. It'll be live from Los Angeles for the news conference previewing the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight.
You never gave me your pick. Who are you picking in that fight?
Well, I hope Pacquiao wins, but I think Mayweather will win. I like Pacquiao. He's an interesting. They're both fascinating characters.
They are. They really are.
And Pacquiao, he's a politician. He's a basketball player.
He is a point guard.
A lot of stuff going on.
He's a point guard.
Man of faith.
We've learned don't criticize his basketball game.
No, you get cut.
You get kicked out of the country.
Daniel Orton, Kentucky player, got thrown off his team in the Philippines for criticizing Pacquiao. Come on, you got to be able to take a punch, even if it's a verbal punch. Going to get a lot more of that from Money Mayweather. Clifford, a nice block on Hicks. Then Brown knocked it away from Tokido. 20 seconds to shoot for the Tar Heels. Who do you like in the fight?
I think Money Mayweather, best fighter of this generation, will take care of it. If it's from 4 years ago, I'd say Pacquiao. Well, I think that window's closed.
You're right. I hope they answer why it's taken this long to get a fight that made sense years ago. Perhaps we'll get the answers on Sports Center from Los Angeles after the game, the news conference. Page Nice shot. Couple of fakes. Garland Owens is right up on him. And Page still knocked it in.
They're making outside shots. They're just really tough. They've gotten into trouble when they haven't been able to connect from the outside and teams been able to pack it in the paint. But when they're making shots, they are awfully tough to beat.
12 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds for Page. Count the bucket. And Olivier Hanlon will have a chance for a three-point play.
That was an impressive offensive drive right there by Olivier Hanlon. He willed that to the basket. Sometimes as a scorer, things aren't going your way. You got to will it to happen.
3 fouls on Toguito. Three-point play for Hanlon. He's the 5th Boston College player to earn first-team All-ACC accolades. First since Reggie Jackson, now in the NBA with Detroit back in 2011. The others, Craig Smith, Jared Dudley, and Tyrese Rice. Beautiful feed by Toguito, and it leads to the easy dunk for Bryce Johnson.
I've seen the Boston College has solved the pick and roll. Normally when a big guy rolls to the basket, it is the job of the weak side, the wing defender, to come down and chuck the rolling big man. But they have failed to do that on multiple occasions, leading to multiple dunks by Carolina.
Garland Owens, the bucket, sophomore from Gaithersburg, Maryland. His first points of the ball game. Under 4 minutes to go. Brick blocked by Batten. Brown poked it to Owens. He's an explosive dunker if he gets near the rim. And it is Eddie Odio there to follow up the miss by Owens. BC back within 10. So we thought the first game today was over when Florida State was up by 20. And they held on for a 3-point win. Marcus Page, too easy, right down the lane to score.
If we learn anything, it is not over in this tournament until the buzzer sounds. Some miraculous meltdowns and near meltdowns we've witnessed in the first 3 games.
Tremendous rally by Clemson in the first game, down 20 with 9.5 to go. And a chance to take the lead in the final second. Florida State advanced to take on Virginia in our first quarterfinal. Tomorrow at noon. Aaron Brown for 3. Johnson, a good rebound in traffic, took it away from Owens. And then Batten fouls Britt in the backcourt. Immediate timeout with 2:51 to go.
Marcus Page leading the North Carolina Tar Heels down the stretch. Nifty, crafty lefty finish in the paint. Using the head fake effectively. Stroking the J.
He's never seen 1-point game right now. We'll keep it posted.
All right. Substitution back in the studio. Adnan Virk and LaFonso Ellis. We are surrounded by talented Canadians here in Greensboro, and back in our studios, Olivier Hanlon, Xavier Rattan-Mays excelling on the court. Dan Schulman to take over the play-by-play microphone tonight. Adnan back in the studio. It is a proud day for the great country of Canada.
Sportsmen, all of them.
2.5 minutes to go. North Carolina, number 5 seed for just the second time since 1964. They're used to beginning from a loftier perch. It's a little tougher these days in the ACC with some of the newcomers and the elevation of some of the programs that have been in the league for a while. The return to prominence of Virginia in particular. Nice passing. Page set up Jackson. 9 assists for Marcus Page. 1 assist away from a double-double.
Well, when I played, and I'm sure Carolina shared the sentiment, we felt that it was our league. It was our league, and if you wanted to win this league, you had to come through Durham, Chapel Hill, had to come through the Triangle, and we weren't giving it up. And
well, largely has been a Duke and Carolina league. This is the 62nd ACC tournament. The two schools have combined to win 36 of them. Duke 19. Toguito banks it. Whoa! Isaiah Hicks way up to slam it home. Timeout BC. A minute 35 away from the end of their season. And the rebuilding job just beginning for Jim Christian. Could well be, Shane, the last game for Olivier Hanlon. But every NBA team represented here, including Ryan McDonough, the general manager of the Phoenix Suns, known as the nice, good-looking, smart, talented McDonough in our family.
Oh,
but
John.
Olivier has a season's worth, really 3 years worth of a resume, including what he did yesterday.
Exactly.
He's a terrific player. Remains to be seen if he's going to be a first-round pick, but I'd like his chances if he comes out of being just that. And if I had to guess, I would say this will be it for him.
Well, yes, I would agree.
The other part of it is they're probably going to have a really bad team next year. I mean, he already faces double teams and all kinds of attention with the defense because, by Jim Christian's admission, the rest of the cast around him is below average by ACC standards. So everybody starts the game trying to stop him, and he was still the leading scorer in the league.
Yeah, and you have to give him almost double credit for that. Every game plan starts with, we must stop Olivier Hanlon. And he still goes out, scores 21 a game in conference, shoots 43% from behind the line, and leads this team. And they didn't have a lot of wins, but they competed well. They finished strong, winning 4 in a row before facing a talented Carolina team today. So give Olivier Hanlon credit. He took the responsibility that Coach Christian gave him. He ran with it, and I thought maximized his year this year.
4 games of 30 or more points, including a magnificent 39-point effort at Pittsburgh, the highest point total by a player in the ACC this year. Found the bucket for Marcus Page. And he was fouled by Garland Owens. Second foul on Owens.
Oh, great touchdown pass from under the basket. Got deflected. Johnny on the spot. Marcus Page, the 3-point play.
Page makes the free throw. Well, that's reminiscent of the form we saw last year when he was first team All-ACC and the preseason player of the year this year. Didn't have as good a year as expected, largely because of the foot problem. Kokodo. Oh, Page going to get another assist? No, they bring it out. And that's Wise with an 18-point lead.
Well, this game tomorrow against Louisville is going to be a really fun game. Obviously, a contrast in styles. Carolina, an elite offensive machine. Louisville, they earn their money playing defense. We're going to have a lot of pros on the court tomorrow. This will be a fun one to watch.
Bury the bucket. North Carolina timeout just to get substitutes into the game. Marcus Page is our player of the game, brought to you by Cree LED Lighting. 17 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. And Olivier Hanlon goes out. To a big hand from the BC fans. Perhaps the final game of his career, but is he'll leave as the 12th all-time leading scorer in the history of the school, and he did that in just 3 years with more than 1,700 points. The all-time leading Canadian-born scorer in ACC history. Freshman of the year in the ACC 2 years ago, 3rd team all-conference last year, 1st team this year. If it's the end, he leaves with a career he can be very proud of. One of the best players in Boston College history. Steve Perpelia on the floor now. Junior doesn't play very much. Matt, his college career in its final 30 seconds. Odio set up Aaron Brown. 4 seniors on the court for Boston College, finishing their careers. Justin Coleman is in for North Carolina. Here's Stillman White, who was in earlier. Luke Davis, Coleman. The crowd wants him to score. He's missed the finger roll layup. And it's Boston College ball with 11.6 to go. Well, North Carolina and Louisville played 2 of the great games of the season in the ACC. Wild affairs. North Carolina, big rally to win at home early in the year. Louisville won in overtime on its home court later in the season. And that's the ball game. Marcus Page, magnificent. North Carolina goes to 22-10 and on to the quarterfinals tomorrow for the rubber game of their memorable 3-game series with Louisville. Boston College's season ends at 13-19, a 5-win improvement over a year ago. So long from Greensboro. Let's send you back to Adnan Burke. in the studio.
All right, Sean, thank you very much. All of Canada applauds you, by the way. You call